Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back. What a wild ride of a day, huh? A wild day. The Dirty Dow traveling through all-time high. Mostly led from what we saw in the morning. That energy move, right? We got most of that. Now, as I said, going into the lunch and going into that 2:30 area when that volume comes back in, we were looking for transitions. So I was able to get most of that energy trade transitioned. Some of them, like the smaller cap stuff, there's not really anything to transition. Volume's too low, so just basically stuck with them. We'll see how some of those turn out, but most got transitioned. So again, taking profit on those, and I'm just gonna show it here because it's an important factor of today. Almost 3.5% on the energy sector. That's a disgusting number for value. Again, basically leading the Dow up. So coming into lunch, started to take profit on this dip here. I basically you don't have much timing, so coming into here, I started to pick up the new positions. We'll see how that continues sort of through this week. Obviously, we had a big day today, so it's hard to tell how much that continues. But you don't get to really decide when the pullback or something would happen. So I feel comfortable with the new positions I added there, just to continue with that, right? Uh, let's go to the overall here. So there's a lot of things. I'll get to the whole vaccine thing here in a moment. S&P broke even on the day. So this is again the growth side obviously started to take a little bit of profit towards close, but we were pretty strong from the open, right? We opened higher. We had a little bit of that pullback, possibly just the traditional sort of comeback to the close of the previous day after sort of putting points on from pre-market and then sort of recouping from there. This is not much of a whip or anything like that. These are 15-minute candles. The take profit towards close, it doesn't really mean much. It did seem like with energy putting so many points on early that we were getting a really mellow day overall, and I think most of you probably saw it as well. If you didn't buy yesterday, it was really hard to buy anything today, unless again you were trading through some of this energy nonsense that really everyone was already a part of anyway. So there wasn't anything on the growth side that we entered yesterday that you could really enter today, and some of those get a little dicey, right? So let's look at the Nasdaq here. Nasdaq pulling back in. You're still up above if you entered towards that low, towards the trend line. You'd still be up here, and again, it doesn't really. I don't think it removes the bid that came in here. Again, what's important in what I sort of talked about here is this higher upper wick area, is that we pushed higher, and that's what's more important here. Higher low, and we had some bid to start the day, even on the growth side, when had no real reason to be when we saw what energy was doing. So still a bounce back, a nice entry at the low. If you look towards individual mega caps, which again are really what we're looking through everything here, these are fine. These are fine and are continuations towards the upside. So again, if you took these trades from the low, you're still looking very good from there. And I do like the entry. And the more buying that came in towards the close here on the call side is definitely going to help with some of these. Let me just go through these quick. You start to see them. Google still doing significantly well. Amazon, it's a little bit dicier here, but it's on support, so this is completely fine still. If you took this trade, Microsoft is basically the same wagon. Microsoft already was at this low here that I talked about over here, and we pulled back further. So this is a little different here because it was doing much better, sort of like Google before anyway, and so we'll have to watch what this move is going to do here. It seems like everything is still holding this low from yesterday or doing better. So growth, tumultuous day yesterday. Yellen cleared up a couple of our comments on the interest rate discussion, so that's why we started to bounce back a little bit. The take profit towards the end of the day uh, is sort of its own thing, and again, sort of just the process of this trend we're in. It does look like we caught this low pretty well. Oops, let me go over to semis. It does look like we caught this pretty well. The semiconductor low here seems like it's probably the best in terms of a sector beyond mega caps that we did well with growth. Again, it's going to be a work in progress. There's when you look through sort of what was down on the day, a lot of these are growth tickers that are just all over the place that we're not touching anyway. And whether or not we're going to be able to catch these on different days is going to be up to the price, right? And so we'll see what those look like. I'm going to talk about this pharmaceutical thing because this was a little bit of a mess. So let's talk about this a little bit. So if you didn't know, basically there's going to be there's a temporary removal of patents on vaccines. Okay, so from the U.S. government, and what that means is that all of these, basically your Modernas, Pfizer's, everything, right? You're basically going to allow places like India to go copy and make that vaccine at their own factories, right? And this was requested by India specifically because of what's going on right now. This is, I mean, that's great for the COVID situation, right? And it's going to allow other places in the world that, think about it, you have U.S. companies right now in just sort of Western countries, companies in Western countries making the vaccine, and it's going to who? It's going to those citizens. It's going to the United States. It's going to citizens in Europe. When we look at the demographics, you have a place like India that's not getting any of the vaccine, right? And so these companies are giving all their supply to the United States. We're getting vaccinated quickly, but they can't make enough vaccines to go to the rest of the world. And what's the problem? Well, they have the fucking patents. And so they're the only ones that can make the vaccine. So by removing the patent, a place like India will be able to make the vaccine, the exact same copy, right? They can go make Moderna, Pfizer vaccines, which again, that it makes sense to make go make the most effective, right? Don't do any of the others. So that's why, again, if you look at Pfizer only lost 1% comparatively. I think Moderna was a little bit more. As soon as this hit, I mean, again, what are you going to do? As soon as this starts to come in here, you have to make a decision. I started to wipe these. I mean, you can make some sort of argument that yesterday that there's something here. You don't get to make that call when you don't have the news there. This starts to come in. What choice do you have? Right? You're going to start to take profit. Now, this is a great trade still. This is a great trade still, and I would say for Moderna and Pfizer, these are likely going to continue, but this does change up the script a little bit of what we are looking for, and it's going to become a problem to solve because, again, we were looking to see if price was going to go past this all-time high. Now we're in this sort of strange spot where now they're not going to be profiting on more vaccines being created under their name or something, and that does, it kind of confuses things because we don't really know when this temporary hold ends, and it's too many things that we don't know. So taking profit and looking to transition here is definitely the move. This was a great trade. We'll see what this sort of amounts to and digest with. We'll have to look specifically for the pharmaceuticals, which one is going to sort of move through this a little bit better than the others. It's too much all at once, so we'll see. We'll also need to see what exactly the market thinks in terms of clearing up COVID quicker, because we have a lot of, again, we have a lot of strange things in this market where every time there's something negative in the data, the market cheers for it and we love it because when it shows that the economy is booming and everything else, right? What happens? Well, that means the interest rates are going to go up quicker. Tech is going to sell, right? So every time COVID lasts longer, every time people are still losing their job, tech goes up, right? And so there can be some market participants that see this and the timing is there, right? The timing's here. Oh no, we're gonna get COVID over quicker because everyone's gonna have a vaccine. Shit, better sell tech. Time to buy more value. Look at the opposite. Look at opposite, right? So people are buying more value. It's going to be really interesting, I think, because as much as it's kind of a just, it's not much. It does change up sort of the dynamics here of some things, right? And so I think even when you look at, I talked about this a couple months ago, is that I think when you think of emerging markets, India was definitely sort of a hotspot in terms of they had a tough time, but they were coming out of COVID. Investing in that idea would be a nice idea until they started getting really banged up, right? This might be another time that you're going to see investment go back towards emerging markets. That's something to really keep in mind because right now, again, everyone has a lot of cash, but the only thing right now you can buy are US equities, right? If the rest of the world is going to get vaccinated quicker than what we've just projected because of this, again, we don't know the specifics. If everyone's going to be able to start making vaccines really quick, that does change the script. We need to watch for flows going to emerging markets. And this is where also this China trade idea and everything else, that's not so much vaccine dependent or anything like that. But if there is this idea to go put money into emerging markets because of, again, just a macro idea, and we've seen this, if there's a macro idea that the rest of the world's going to open up like the US has, then there will be money flowing to emerging markets because of an idea, nothing else. And so we're going to need to see the value trade here, again, signifies a lot of this idea of economies picking up and value being the go-to thing that, again, I say it every fucking day, but this is still the trade. It's going to be interesting, so we're going to watch out. Banks, energy continued, industrials continued. Again, there's decisions that need to be made on things like X here, depending on how you wanted to play these. Again, this is the trade, and I just talked about it yesterday. These are quick swing trades. You're going to be swinging these quick. You take profit on these moves. You don't take the profit yesterday. You could have taken profit on the Friday trade yesterday, right? You entered the new trades today. You can take that again. These were already 100% from that opening buy from yesterday. These kind of trades, we're swinging this back and forth, and we made this trade very consistently. I'd say this candle is very consistent with what we've seen from this side, and it's very sector dependent. The swing back and forth. We'll see how this interacts. It's hard to tell, but this is why we transition through trades, right? You can take profit here and just basically sum it up to a transition. You're looking for your new entry here. Whether this is going to break out, if this breaks out, then it's a whole new thing. We have not broken out of this high in a long time. We basically have stayed in this range. If we do break out, then that's a completely different trade, and we'll buy on that break. For right now, you are swinging this from the low up to the high, right? That's all that is. We had this in a few different places. We'll see how these moves go. For now, they're significantly bullish, but we want to see the break first here. Take the money now. We'll look to make more later, right? Some other trades. Where is BA? BA here. This kind of side of things, a part of the Dow did not do well. Now, this is still up from the low of yesterday. Some of these are getting there in terms of there's still sort of this consolidation really going on. And I think this sector, again, we had the very strong move prior to sort of the start of basically the consolidation earlier. This is sort of the tail end here. If we can get this continuation, that would be a nice move. We haven't really seen any rumblings or sort of any sort of interactions with this sector in a while. I would be looking for this area again to pick back up. Look at things like GE here. It's obviously in a consolidation here as well. So this one I'll be looking for like the end of the week here, that we are continuing to get sort of this shake up in sectors. I think we captured banks, energy, this industrial idea very well with commodities. I'd be looking to this side of the equation of aerospace and defense and sort of this your big blue chip company ideas, right? And it's your IBMs, for instance, right? We've seen that IBM chart just continue to go straight up. This is an example of when things do get going right? It comes out of a consolidation and then it does get going well. I'd be looking for things like GE specifically. BA still has some fucking problems, but it's the same idea. Looking for those to maybe, again, we're looking to go from a trade to another trade, build these positions into portfolios. I'm going to be looking for those because they haven't moved from any of this, right? They're not really moving much, so I'm going to be looking for those. Retail stores continue to do well today. Those trades have been able to be pushed. Again, every single ticker you see over here is basically energy. So this is all basically energy. Now, again, whether these continue, we'll see. But great day on those. TMUS, Verizon. There's a communications move going on. This kind of price action here is just, it's way too much. So it doesn't matter that earnings is right here. This is just, it's a little too much going on. We've already seen it with T from yesterday, right? there's definitely there's just things happening here with price that you can't ignore. So, like I've said, you've got to be a part of a position like this as well. This is basically built up through a value idea on the consumer side. We've been very sort of heavy. We'll see if this amounts to something. We're at the top of the range, so the reason I can bring it up here is that tomorrow will be a deciding factor on whether you're coming back down or you're going to continue into a break through the highs. So we're going to watch those for tomorrow. So put that on some sort of checklist to look for, because uh, whether we're getting something or not, I mean, it will come now. I would say it would come now because people aren't going to keep buying unless there's something there, right? That's just how we are, right? Let me see, where are, okay, let me just go here. On the travel side, these trades that we took from the low yesterday, we got a bit of this bounce back. This here as well. These last few days have really screwed with some of the trends going on and have made some new problems to solve. We bought on fear yesterday, and we've kind of stuck with it. Thursday and Friday here, it's going to be really important that we're playing these correctly and managing the risk really in the right way. And the only way you can be basically taking advantage and taking risks here is if, again, your portfolio is sort of already set up on this value trade through the trend. If it's not, you can't be doing these. But if you're well positioned and you feel comfortable and confident with the rest of your portfolio, then you can take these trades. There's still room to be buying in here. This kind of thing here, again, you're buying out of the low end. You've got basically a discount from the move from yesterday. Today, you didn't get much movement, right? You just got this bounce back idea. Some of these charts are pretty interesting. So the short term volatility idea that we've seen, we basically have bought on the lows, and we just keep swinging it. The more you do it, the better an understanding you have here. Coming into Thursday, Friday, looking for a weekend trade, we're basically trying to find the low point of this range to push it into next week if we can, because it sucks to have to take this trade for just a day or something, and you don't want to be day trading that. If we can get this trade from yesterday to push, or if we need to take profit, for instance, at open to then look to get a Friday trade or something, we need to try to figure that out. Because again, if your money's in a position, it's not going to be in another one. So we're going to be looking to sort of find an active approach to getting into these in the right way, because again, a day like yesterday and then coming into today, by buying on that low, it's significantly different from having to buy at a different point. And it's usually not a loss of value, it's a loss of time. And so you're gaining on sort of the rest of the market. So we're still in that sort of raw area here where we haven't done much. Be looking for those, and specifically the casino side, because we've seen a lot of moves on the casinos for whatever reason. Again, for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. Airlines have been doing well, but there's definitely consumer ideas there that have not been touched upon, like retail stores have, right? And so we're going to look to trade through some of those, put some risk on, and maybe take advantage of a lot of the volatility here. That things like vaccines. What do you think? The world getting vaccine faster and things going back to whatever's normal quicker is not going to cause travel to get going in some sort of way. Probably it is, right? Probably it is. So I would be looking for some of those ideas. Maybe using the ETF is fine as well. We'll see what that sums up to. Let me bring this over here. The dollar has not moved. Now, we've had a very consistent downtrend that led into whatever we want to call this on Friday. It wasn't safe havening or anything like that. There was nothing happening in the market that really caused the dollar to rise here. It has basically stayed flat, and it looks like decisions are looking to be made, right? It looks like decisions need to be made on where this money needs to go. We saw this inflow into value. We've seen the rest of exchanges up through all-time highs. Like Europe has been trading at its all-time high, even though it's a little volatile the last 2 days. Watching and looking for this money, again, will help us. So we can start to use this correlation a little bit more, I would say, just because of the recent volatility. When there is volatility in the equity market, you can use the dollar as sort of a correlation a little bit better than when there's no volatility, which again, we haven't had volatility in a long time. There hasn't been any volatility. Coming into the day, if this is up, we can use that as a gauge, right? That there's money getting into the dollar. That may mean some weakness on the equity side. If this is down, that may mean some bullishness. We're not going to use it as a full sort of, okay, well, that's how it's going to be. But we can use it as an understanding of the rest of the world and what they're looking to do. Because it's important to remember, everyone's only been buying U.S. equities. If that does change, that can bring a little bit more supply and less demand because of that. So if there's something else to buy, that's not U.S. equities being bought. So it's going to be important, again, for those lows to be bought on growth. If there's no buybacks coming in, these are things to watch, and it's coming through the macro end. It's going to come through watching the bonds here through this yield discussion, right? It's very easy to see what's going to start to happen at the beginning of the day by looking at the yields. We saw the two-year yield up this morning. Growth started to take profit. As soon as the two-year yield went negative, growth started to go back up, right? And then this started to come back a little bit near the end of the day. It doesn't really matter towards the end of the day, but these things are very connected. It's going to be important to, again, follow some of this, and we'll break it down in the morning. But either way, today was definitely just like yesterday and sort of on Monday. Some of you that talk about the idea of, I picked the wrong ticker. Today was definitely pick the wrong ticker day. If you were not in one thing and you were in something else, you might have missed everything, right? And you might have lost. This was pretty black and white today. It's pretty black and white. You either had energy value or you had growth, and again, the last 2 days have not been great. If you're trying to day trade or make some risky bets, you're not having a good time either, right? You're really getting oversupplied and nothing is moving your way. So when you look through the list here, most of the tickers we're looking at are green, besides these sort of smaller growth tickers. It's going to be interesting at the end of the week, see if we can take advantage. But for now, we're going to stick with what's working. It's important a day like today again, and we'll leave it on this. Yesterday, the Dow was up. Today, the Dow was up again. It's significantly through the all-time high, right? In a lot of different ways with energy. That is working really well. And I have 30 different oil charts from the last 2 weeks, right? From the month before with banks, right? All of these different ideas continue to do very well. Healthcare continues to do significantly well. Besides a hiccup here with BIOS, but BIOS were our short-term sort of volatile play anyway, that we've sort of turned into a longer term. This side has really treated us well. We have not gotten hurt by negative sort of news or anything like that. Anything that does come out with interest rates, yields, actually positively affects it, but can't negatively affect it because, again, they don't grow and they don't depreciate. They're just value. That's it. Continue to trade through this idea first and then look to find how to put risk on. Again, the risk in that, the risk management part, it's really risk management as in protecting downside first, and then with the additional capital you have, look to find risky buys and to get risks that you can make 100% in a fucking day if you can, right? On whatever amount of money you allocate. You're only able to do that if you're in a sort of stable position and you're confident in what you have, right? This has continued to do very well. Continue to trade through this. Again, continue to hold through pullbacks here in a different way, right? Because you're pushing this for a longer term, which means, again, you need to trade it accordingly. You don't get to go buy, today, if you saw energy moving, you don't get to go buy May monthlies and then go, oh man, my position, it's done already. I don't know if I can buy now because it's pretty high. That's just, again, you're cutting your legs off for no reason. Imagine saying that anywhere in here, right? So let's continue to really stay true to this idea until things change, because there's first of all, we'll see it coming a mile away. Okay, the Fed will tell us. Okay, I promise you, the Fed will tell us if there's anything there. So don't worry about that. That side changes very slowly, and that's what kind of helps some of us, especially you boomers. It's gonna help that it's gonna be really slow. Growth is very quick, but that's not gonna happen. C Trader mentions PayPal. We're up 3.5%. This, what did we get for numbers? I mean, obviously they beat estimates. Revenue's up. See, revenues aren't up that much. Interesting. I care about the Square Inc one. This is what I care about here. Is Square Inc with the Bitcoin. This is the one I'm interested in. PayPal doesn't have I mean, obviously there's going to be some proxy to Bitcoin. I'm interested in what happens with this. Whether these are good bets or not, I don't know. Again, here's a good example. Z was up 5%. Was up 5% from earnings. And then we tanked from there. How do you make a decision here, right? When do you pull the trigger? You get stopped out. How do you know to take profit at the open, right? And this is where here's how you know it's not an earnings play, right? At first, it goes, oh man, we get the earnings play. It was up 5%. It opened only 1% higher. And then we pulled right back into the entry point and got stopped out, right? This sort of thing here, it's up in the air. It's up in the air. These are risks worth taking every time, of course, but they're going to be try and try again sort of trades. Absolutely. And again, the crypto space, again, I'm avoiding for now. Those of you trading Doge and shit like that, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously not. As long as you have small positions you get in and out of, it takes 2 seconds to get out of there, unless you're trading Robinhood, and apparently people can't get out of their positions on Robinhood. So every now and then I heard. So good luck with that. It's going to be a lot of fun this end of the week, guys. If you didn't have fun today, then probably not going to have fun the next 2 days. So this has been a pretty wild start to the week that people that are prepared, again, if you're prepared and at least you can react, you have good reaction sort of skills, or if your portfolio is really sort of leaning one way and you know which way, then it's fun. If you're having a hard time, then I would say having a hard time is a good lesson and a good learning opportunity to see why you're feeling that way, because these signs have been signaled to you for about 6 months now, right? And that's why the risks we take, they're not all the money. They shouldn't be all your money that you're risk taking with. That's just gambling, right? You're just gambling at that point. There's definitely a right way to do things right now. It's going to be different when we look back in hindsight in different areas, and we'll see and critique ourselves. At the end of the week, I think it'll be important for us to sort of do an overall critique of where we maybe pushed too hard on this growth trade. Maybe we should have just gone all in towards value. I think the double down yesterday was a very good decision, especially when you look at energy today. I would say we got a little lucky with some of that. Obviously, we saw the signs, but not in that aspect. So the double down worked a lot. We'll see if this semiconductor idea, I think, again, I may be wrong on the semiconductor idea. And I think it's important for us to look back and find out, should we have been wasting our time trying to take these trades multiple times or not? It's not, you don't know the answer until it comes and smacks you in the face, right? But you have to take that chance and that risk now. You don't get to do it later, because later you're going to say it, but you didn't do it. So you didn't get to make money. So I'm going to be watching for that for the end of the week. I think there's going to be a lot to learn and a lot of problems to solve still. So there's a lot up in the air. Hopefully Yellen stops talking and stops. I mean, yesterday she says one thing. Today she said something else. Maybe it's an old lady thing. She's a fucking genius. She's probably doing it on purpose. But still, it does fuck with the markets when one person says something. It reminds me of Powell back in April and May last year, where one person says something and then the whole market changes, or like a Trump tweet, right? But these are a little bit more impactful. So hopefully we calm down a little bit. We are watching the political side a lot more to find out when those fiscal plans are coming in, that $4 trillion. So we'll watch for those, but excited to see the end of the week. Enjoy your afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'll see you in the morning for charts tonight. No idea. I'm going to see what I can find, but it's going to take me a little while. So we'll see what we have. Have a good one, guys.